Guys, welcome back. I'm Samcrac. Happy New Year to each and every one of you guys. It's a new year, but we're still working on our older 2001 Porsche 911, a car that I've always wanted. I picked up this one at a salvage auction for a little bit over $4,000. The more I dig into it, the more I'm loving it because it's in really good shape for a car that's almost 2 decades old. But with an old car does come some old car issues, as you're about to see. The nice thing is the internet is full of resources when it comes to these 996 911s. People have already had these similar problems and they've already solved them. And I'm a firm believer that anybody can rebuild anything with the correct resources, whether that's a workshop manual, the right tools, and of course a little bit of money. Now, one of my favorite resources online is today's video sponsor, and that is Skillshare.com. Skillshare is an online learning community chock full of resources with more than 25,000 classes in business, technology, design. If you can think of it, they probably have a class on it. Currently on Skillshare, I'm learning through a couple different classes how to up my production quality here on YouTube. So it's really great if you want to brush up on an existing skill or learn a new skill or a trade. As I'm rebuilding a car, I like to stop along the way and highlight certain parts. Maybe it's something that saves me some time or some money. Basically stuff that I hope you guys can take home with you and apply to your very own rebuild projects. If you enjoy the educational aspect of my channel, I know you'll enjoy Skillshare. The first 500 people to use my link in the description box below are going to get their first 2 months of Skillshare Premium absolutely free. And premium memberships are extremely affordable, coming in at under $10 a month annually. I want to give a big thanks to Skillshare for their continual support of the channel and also educating those that are thirsty for that knowledge. Now let's jump right back into the 911 and remove some of those old, worn out parts. All the hardware has been removed from the calipers. I went and I applied some paint stripper to this one, specifically because it had really bad clear peeling. Also, these all have some sort of peeling somewhere. They need to be refinished. And I've already went ahead, I bought the paint, I bought high heat primer and clear. And when I started doing the stripping on this one right here, and I noticed how I was gonna have to do multiple applications. I mean, you can see leftover clear coat clearly, you know, right here in the sides. This, I'm sure, is probably powder coated from the factory. I thought, how much would it cost just to call a professional service and get these things powder coated? So I called up a service. They're gonna do all 4 of these for $125. It's gonna last way longer. And I already spent about $60 in spray cans. So we're just gonna stick these in a box and get them done professionally because it makes sense cost and time wise. Just got back from the powder coating shop, dropped off all 4 brake calipers, and those are gonna take a couple days. So while we're waiting for them, we need to move on to something else. And if you remember when we first got this car delivered, both front radiators were leaking, and that is because this car obviously ran over something. When it did, it bumped the bracket right here, pushing up on the radiator. The radiator is fastened in behind there by the plastic tank. Probably not the best design, but it just cracked that piece off. And again, you got a leak because of it. And I'm not the first guy that this has happened to after researching how to take these apart. This has happened to a bunch of guys who've just rode up over something, usually on one side of the car, cracks the radiator, leaks, and they replace it. Now, while we are in there, if you remember on the passenger side here, the fan is not working. At least one of the speeds of the fan is not working. These are over-engineered German fans. What do you expect on a car like this? But there's a resistor somewhere back here. There's also a bunch of leaves and garbage, and that is usually the main failure point of these fans. Now, it's actually cheaper to just buy a set of third-party fans right there than it was to buy resistors. So we're gonna completely replace the fans. And while we're in there, we're gonna do the radiator, the fans. How about the condensers? I know it's an added thing. These condensers probably function just fine, but we're gonna get them done because that way this car will hopefully go for another 100,000 miles. We won't have to remove any of this front stuff again. And so luckily I've had a friend come over. He's already evacuated the AC system. So we're good to start disassembling all of this stuff. Passenger side radiator, condenser, fan, all assembled, put back together. We're gonna mount it right back up here. Just a handful of hoses, that electrical connector up there. It's really pretty simple stuff. We will not be doing our driver's side because we're missing the clips right here that hold everything together on that side, and I got them ordered at the Porsche dealership. They'll be in tomorrow. Now, before we put this back together, got to give a huge thanks to the guys at FCP Euro for providing the bare radiators that are going on this car. Now let me show you something really interesting with this stuff. Here's the bare mark on the side plastic tank. When we come over here, we see this grind mark. That's likely where the Porsche part number was. You see, when outlets that are not the dealership sell these exact parts that would come on the car, there's something in their contract or their agreement that says you can't have our logo or our stamp on the product even though you make it for us. So if you buy it at an outlet like FCP Euro, you'll save a lot of money from going to the dealership, and you'll get the same exact part that came in the car, so you know it's a quality part if the manufacturer's using it. Man, everything is looking fresh. It fits perfectly. Everything is brand new. Even the AC line has new gaskets. Right where that pink marker is on the bracket, that's where it was bent upward. You might have noticed I hammered that out in the time lapse so it's flat again. And right where that rubber grommet is, right there, it's tough to see it. That is where this notch was stuck when the radiator was pushed up. It just completely cracked that piece off, causing the radiator to leak. That's taken care of, and we haven't done the other side yet simply because we don't have 4 clips that I have ordered from the Porsche dealership. When we get those clips, I'll go ahead, throw everything back together. It will take no more than 15 minutes. Now it's time to move on to some stubborn fasteners in the brake area. This 911 is the oldest, highest mileage car I've ever rebuilt, and with it's come a few challenges. On the opposite side, when I took the screws out of the brake rotors there, I ended up stripping them, and I had to just drill them out, which is really time consuming. So I figured there had to be a better way, and I learned about this really neat tool. This is an impact screwdriver. I bought it at the budget tool store for only about $8. All you do is you put it into the screw like a normal screwdriver, but you take a hammer, and I'm going to use this big hammer, and you tap it. And I think you only need to tap it once, but I'm going to do it a few times for good measure. And you just hit it in there, and then check this out. It turns the screw right out. These screws were pretty stuck, and honestly, I'm guessing it's the impact in the screw loosening any sort of, rust or anything that might be holding that in there. But here, we'll do it with this other one. 2 brake rotor screws that were normally a stubborn pain, completely out that easy. And just to prove that this is not staged, because a lot of people are like, well, he probably loosened those before. Look at, here is my screwdriver gun, and I risk stripping this, but this is for you. This rotor is moving, but if this screw were loose, it would just turn right out. And it's obviously not turning out. I'm stripping it a little bit. Now check this out. Get it lined up. And there you go. Comes right out. This stuck bolt has given us a lot of trouble. Of course, we tried the 2-nut method. We ground the top and the bottom off. We even heated it up, put some penetrating oil in there, did everything we can, and it's still stuck in there. It's not moving whatsoever. So I ran out to the bargain tool store and I bought the welder starter kit. I think this is the first welder everybody buys before they go out, and they end up buying a nicer one. But we don't need anything pretty. We need something functional. So let me get this set up. We're gonna weld the top nut in place there and see if that will allow us to finally turn it out before we end up having to drill it out or buy a whole new knuckle completely. Luke, I am a cheap ass. This is the welding mask that they give you with the cheap welding kit. I mean, look at that tiny little glass that you look through. This is like if Darth Vader shot for his wardrobe at Harbor Freight. But hey, since I was the cheap guy that didn't think to buy the mask while I was there, this is what we're gonna have to deal with. You hold it in one hand while you weld with the other. We did it, or I did it. This is my first attempt at welding, and for a flux welder, as far as I understand, these flux welders do ugly welds, but hey, that thing should be stuck on there. Let's see what happens when we turn it off. I'm gonna put all my force in it so you see it's not even, the screw itself is not moving at all. So it seems this is another common 996, 911 issue. These screws get stuck all the time where the calipers fasten onto the knuckle. But anyway, I've been drilling at this a little while. You could see if you look really deep in there, there's still a good chunk of the screw left over, and it's not coming easy. Hopefully we'll be able to drill the rest of it out, and then we'll do a thread repair on it. We'll use a helicoil, and we'll be able to bolt our caliper back in place. Worst comes to worst, we'll just buy a used knuckle. After we're done with all the brake area repair in all 4 corners, we'll be able to move over to our body work. The majority of it on the car is sitting right here. Not too bad. I bought a stud welder for this, so we're gonna pull it out with a slide hammer, shape it really nice, put a little bit of fill, and then we should be able to just blend this in, not use a ton of paint on it. I've got a brand new paint system that I can't wait to try out as well. Now, talking about body, we've got to do that rear bumper that I pulled off. It's just got that indentation in one corner. And I got a replacement front bumper. And this bumper was listed in very good shape. The picture showed it in very good shape. And as you can see, it's in really good shape all around except for where the darn shipping company damaged it. They ripped a huge tear in the bottom here. It's also completely misshapen right up here. Now, this can all be repaired. However, it's going to be much more time than it would have been had they not damaged it. So I'm looking out for another bumper, but it might take more time to find a good condition bumper than it would be to just repair this entire thing. So we're probably going to go down the route of reshaping and repairing this, repairing the tear in here. But of course, I'll keep you guys updated, especially through Instagram. I seem to post most of the stuff there before it shows up here on YouTube. Speaking of Instagram, I just posted a photo there of the brake calipers fresh from the powder coating shop, and they look amazing. I got them done in the color that you guys overwhelmingly requested in the last video. So go on, check them out. You can go here or click the link in the description box below. But if you had a really good eye this video, you might have already seen them. Now, when I set out to build this 911, I think I put a budget of about $10,000 on it. And really, I haven't spent more than $500 out of pocket right now. Obviously, that's on top of the price of the car itself. And that's because we sent back that expensive GT2 bumper that was really poor quality. There was also an expensive set of rocker panels that I bought, sent those back. We're doing an OEM style build at this point, and it should come in well under budget, probably under $8,000. And if we're really lucky, maybe even $7,000, which will be absolutely incredible. I'm really excited, and I hope we can say that we've got the cheapest 911 ever that runs, drives, and is fully functional and in pretty darn good shape. If you guys enjoyed this video or learned something from it, be sure to hit that like button. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching today, and I will catch you very soon.